This meeting is being recorded, just so you all know. Continue, hold on. Okay, being 6:32/3 p.m. This is the Sutton Historic Commission meeting held for today, which is January 19th, 2021. I have to read a statement prior to us talking. So here we go. Due to the current COVID-19 crisis, pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order, suspending certain provisions of open meeting law, this meeting of the Historic Commission is being held remotely via Zoom, as you all know. To join this meeting, you must visit www.zoom.us/join and enter meeting ID 891-688-3107, entering a passcode of 935553. This meeting will broadcast and be recorded on local public access station Verizon number 31, Charter Spectrum number 191, and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel when available. Pursuant to Mass General Law 38-20, no person shall address a meeting of a public body without permission of the chair, me. Individuals who would like to participate should state their name and address their after being recognized by the chairperson, in an effect to ensure transparency to our viewers at home, and the chat function is not available. Thank you. All right, how'd I do? I didn't go All right, that's done.
Nice job. Keith, you might want to adjust your camera down just a little bit.
Oh, okay.
We're getting a lot of Kilroy-like stuff going on there. You know,
Okay.
just the nose above.
I kind of like that one, like that.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
All right, so with that being read, and I think we're ready to proceed, I did send minutes to each member prior to this meeting for the, I think it was February 2020 minutes. Did you all get a chance to read that?
Yes.
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 Okay, so is there a motion on the floor to, oh, actually, you know what? Hold on, before we do that, I strike that.
Oh my God.
We have to get to number one thing. I have to see if anyone wants to volunteer as a clerk because I can't sit in both roles. So I don't mind stepping down as chair and doing clerk if someone else wants to sit in this chair. And no one wants to do it. So I'll do it for tonight, but think about it in the future. No, you can't do it
What?
because you're not a member.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so the meetings, minutes from 2020, February, did you all read it? You said yes. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
That's Wally motion.
Mhm.
Anyone second? Because you were the first, Wally.
Second.
Okay,
Oh,
looks like Rochelle second. I gotta do a roll call.
Yep.
Okay, motion for minutes. And I'll go through the board first. Rochelle, your vote on that motion?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Me, I'm a yes. Mark?
Yes.
Okay, so Chris, I can't have you vote because technically you weren't at the meeting to say that you approve or disapprove. So we'll go to, I think you were there, Paul, right? Paul, you were there, yep.
Yes.
Yes. And Wally.
yes.
Okay. This is gonna be tedious. Okay. As for the November 2019, November 2019 minutes, I still don't have them from Mark. So we're gonna suspend them again. This will be like the third meeting, but I'll reach out to him and get those minutes. And not you, Mark Brown, Mark Kellogg, our prior clerk. Having no other members, having no other people I can see in this meeting or that joined in, there's no public forum or public hearing. And we already did new clerk. And no one stepped up yet, so we'll figure that one out. I don't blame you. Okay, old business. I'm gonna mention some old business that we had talked about in the February meeting about 318 Boston Road. And as you know, we no longer have to talk about that anymore. Uh-oh, someone doesn't like us. There you go. You all right there, Rochelle? You can see us? Okay. We don't have to talk about that anymore because that property was raised on April 2nd, 2020. So it's no longer a subject matter for discussion about trying to save the property or repurpose or reuse. However, it does bring up a subject that we may want to speak about called the demolition delay bylaw. And some of you may be familiar with it and some of you may not. Is anyone not familiar with a demolition delay bylaw? Okay. I'll shrink it down as best I can. Basically, it's a bylaw that gets passed at town meeting. And if it is passed, then it allows a period based on what the verbiage is in the bylaw. It could be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, that if you apply for a demolition permit, it gets a review process. And if the property is deemed, I don't want to use the word historic, but if it has some significance and a plan can be placed that may allow that property to either be saved, relocated or something, or even just, you know, taken down, disassembled and reused by somebody else, that it gets a review process instead of just waking up on April 2nd and seeing half of it gone. Does that sound right? Did I miss anything, anyone that knows?
Yeah, sometimes it can be up to a year long, I think.
It can. I don't know if that one would pass town meeting, but yes. Does that answer your question, Rochelle?
Yep.
Okay, so I just have to make notes while I'm doing this. So that may be something, I think, I'm gonna say 20 years ago, we talked about this. We had talked about it maybe when were any of you around when we try to do CPA? No. So you know what CPA is? Anyone know it? No, Rochelle?
Certified public accountant.
No, that sounds good though. Yeah. It's called the Community Preservation Act, and it enacts, again, by town vote to enact this preservation agreement, which a certain percentage of money raised in the town by sales of property, be it 1%, 2%, or 3%, gets put aside in a fund that can only be used for historic preservation, open space. What's the other one?
Recreation?
Recreation, correct.
Yeah.
And that in years past, the state always matched. So, for instance, and these are just broad numbers, if we passed a 3%, and in 1 year we raised $100,000 from that 3%, the state would send us a check for $100,000, which entail would have us $200,000 in an account that can only be used for that. Now, I know one example locally that was using this, and Wally, you may be familiar with it, is that and I hope I'm saying this right, Hanamisco Reservation in Grafton, up in the top of the hill, they just got CPA funds a few years ago to restore their whole museum, and the town paid through those funds. So, for instance, if 318 Boston Road, if we had a CPA and a demolition delay bylaw, there's a chance that maybe that building could have been not raised and repurposed in accordance with that Sutton Center Historic District. And that was one of the reasons why they wanted to see if they could preserve that integrity of that area, Polly's and that particular property. So maybe something we want to look into, this bylaw, demolition delay. Any thoughts?
Well, on the CPA, I know the state started out matching it 100%, and the last I heard it was like 25 or 30, but still, where else are you going to get 25% on your money? You
Yeah,
know, you're certainly not going to get that in the bank. The other thing, and just as an example, I think Grafton's raised millions because
yes, they have
literally,
millions.
I
of
mean,
dollars.
literally millions
Millions.
um, for this type of activity. And, you know, it suited their purpose well. It didn't, I think, I don't know if it ever came up in front of the town. I thought the town voted it down or something. But
It
I could
did.
be wrong.
So I was asking if you guys were around during that time because it was put to a bylaw meeting and a vote. And it didn't go over very well. People, basically, no one likes a new tax. No one wants to pay more tax. And it's usually, I think it's the purchaser of the property, not the sale. So
Correct, it is the purchaser.
Yeah.
So the residents, if they were selling, don't have to pay it.
correct. But the
Yeah.
purchaser does, depending if
Right.
it's a 1, 2, or 3%.
Yeah.
And the way, you know, and I was part of that, the way it was presented was a little difficult to swallow for a lot of townspeople. There's Donna.
Hey,
Hi, Donna. I gotta write that down.
wow.
Donna, 644. Welcome. Uh-oh. Mute
Gonna turn it
button,
on.
mute button, bottom left-hand corner of your screen. It'll be a little microphone with a red line. Try moving your mouse down the screen and it might pop up at the bottom. All the way, because we can't hear you. You can only hear us. Wait, maybe if I do it like this. How's that, Mark?
How about some knuckles?
Yeah. Bottom left-hand corner, Donna. Oh, wait, are you on an iPad?
No, I tried,
Yay!
There you go.
You're on.
I
Donna's
tried,
here.
I tried, this is the third computer I've tried.
Well, now you're on.
It works.
And I've done Zoom before, but never from home, so.
All right. So you're with us now? You're
Yeah.
good to go.
Yep,
All right, so I had a couple things I wanted to discuss. We were just hitting in a nutshell before I introduced Chris, was 318 Boston Road and how a demolition delay bylaw at that point may have helped, or some CPA funds. I know that, Donna, you were around when we tried to get CPA 20 years ago or so.
yeah,
Yeah, so I don't know if people will swallow it in this town, but we were talking about that and alternatives to preventing something like that from happening again. You know? All right.
yeah, I had no clue it was happening. I opened, you know, my windows in the morning and
It
there
was
was,
gone.
yeah, or it was coming down.
Yeah, well, better, you know, if you're a builder, or you want to get rid of it, that's the best time to do it when COVID's around and no one really is.
It was a Saturday, I think, wasn't it?
April 2nd. All right, so we were just touching on that, but before I got too deep, I neglected to introduce our new member, Christopher Leary. So Christopher reached out and had interest through the town clerk to become a member. The timing was right where Mark Kellogg had just resigned as clerk, and we thank Mark for all those years. I want to say, and I could be wrong, but somewhere around 7 years he was around, and 5 to 7 years. So we appreciate that, Mark, if you're watching tonight, or you happen to watch this because you just can't get away from this commission. We do appreciate all your help and everything that you did. So now Christopher sent an interest, and he was speedily pushed through the process by the selectmen, and like within 3 weeks he was on and in. So Chris, why don't you introduce yourself or tell us what's going on, because none of these people know your background from town.
Yeah, I hope everyone can hear me okay, for one. So my name's Chris Leary. We moved to town, my wife and I, about 5 years ago. We have 2 little kids, and we're immediately attracted to the town. We love it. And I was kind of just browsing the town website one day and realized that there was an opening. I wanted to be of service. So I put my name in and here I am.
Excellent.
I have a bachelor's degree in history. It's certainly a passion of mine. I really love the Revolutionary War period in American history. I'm sure a lot of you do.
Yes.
And Sutton really, strikes at the heart of that, when you drive around town, and that's all. I just kind of look forward to learning a lot about the town from everybody here. I look forward to meeting you in person, and hopefully I can help out in any way I can.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we appreciate you. And being a young guy too is always nice. You can carry on that legacy for a long time. We appreciate it. Thanks. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Any comments from any of the members or anything?
Yeah. I'd like to make the point to a new member who that the Historic Commission is sort of like the historical assessors of the town. It's not just that we seek out and share histories from the town, stories from the town history. The Historic Commission assesses the historical significance of the town.
Mhm.
So it's different
Can I
from,
touch on that, Donna?
sure, go right ahead.
For example, Christopher, and I can only give some examples. I think Donna and I are the most senior members at this point. And I mean, as time-wise, Donna. Coming from 25 years ago, there was a lot of confusion between the Historic Commission and the Historic Society. And a lot of times they were confused. A lot of times people felt like we were crazy history people who didn't want any change. And so it was a tough hurdle for us to get over about 25 years ago. But shortly thereafter, we bonded with a good group. And some of the things that we have done as a commission is, for example, the Halls Mills house next to the town hall, which is that red property adjoining the old police parking lot, was to be raised, and at some talk was to turn into a town barn area, put the sand up there and all that stuff in that big field that was adjoining that property. So our commission
Keith,
rallied together.
could I interrupt? They wanted a parking lot there. They
Yeah.
were not gonna put a barn.
Well, there was some talk from an ex-person in town who was interested in doing that, but correct, the parking lot was the ultimate decision, was to put a parking lot with a walkway to the town hall. Whatever it was, they wanted to take that property down. We ended up creating a preservation easement agreement, and it was sold privately from the town. The municipality sold it to a private individual with that restriction easement agreement attached to the property in perpetuity, which means two things. The property gets preserved for the life of it, and it preserves our center. And that was the goal, to keep the common area as protected as possible. That was one. Another one was getting the center, West Sutton and the center as historic districts, and now Wilkinsonville as a National Historic District. A lot of Donna's talents and hard work went into that. So in a nutshell, we try to preserve the historic interest in preservation of things that have the ability to be saved in the town without preventing progress. Would you agree with that, members?
Manchog too, we just got on a few years ago as a National Historic District.
Manchog, correct.
Yeah,
Well,
That's
I
a big
think,
feat. There's a lot to that.
I think the point that I wanted to make was what first has to come is the assessment of the historical significance of the properties in Sutton in order to be able to go to any other step. And that's what the job of the Historic Commission is.
Yep, I agree with that.
And we lost 2 properties last year, not just the Beehive, but we also lost that one down on Central Turnpike,
Which
What
one?
was that? Remind me.
Lincoln Road.
Oh, right, the
Yeah.
corner of Lincoln Road. That was a private residence, but yeah.
If you could email me the address of that, I'll add it to my list. I've got quite a few to go through.
I think it was the old selectman's house there. Was his name Alex?
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh, you've got to
gone.
be kidding.
Alex Trenta's house is gone.
Oh, God.
Oh, welcome to the meeting, Donna. That was a tough one. That hit you hard.
Yeah, that one,
Donna, they took that one down on a Sunday.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
understand.
well, then definitely.
Yeah, we'll have to take that off the inventory. I gotta
Right.
write that down. So,
Send me the date and the address and the circumstances, like Wally's barn burnt down. That's different from a demo. And the list I have from that Jen got for me is very difficult to get through. And I have worked on it on and off. And I'll maybe I should just try to submit them a few at a time instead of doing the whole list.
I think you might even be able to do them online now,
Oh, yeah, I can send them to them
Yeah.
on,
which is a lot easier.
but
All right, so we'll get you that info on Alex's house. You need the address and what else?
just the date,
Of when it was raised?
yes. I
Mhm.
have all the other info that we need, we can get online.
Does that ring a bell, Paul, the date?
I just remember driving by on a Sunday and they were actually taking it down. I couldn't.
Was it, give me a ballpark.
It was probably the summer of 2019, and I think I might have it in some minutes from one of our meetings, because we did discuss it, and that we were hoping that maybe even if we could save some of the
Timber.
features of the house.
Well, the timbers from the house across the street walked over to a truck.
Were they really?
Yep.
Well, so did the timbers from that property on Lincoln Road and the Central Turnpike. They
Yeah.
didn't get thrown out and burned. They were all hauled away.
They were sold.
They had a massive fireplace in the middle of that,
Yeah.
a 4 fireplace with a huge center post chimney.
Well, the
Did
thing
some of that
is,
go also? Didn't somebody walk off with that too? Didn't they?
I'm sorry?
Didn't somebody
I
walk off with part of the fireplace?
I don't know if anybody walked off with it. I think maybe they sold it, but
the demolition companies, I believe it's part of the deal,
Yeah.
yeah.
and they sell it. So, but that's where if you know far enough ahead of time and it becomes a reality, the Historical Society would be a better body, couldn't negotiate with who's ever doing the demolition for things like that.
Yeah.
We've done it in the past.
Something to think about, maybe we should, I don't know if it would pass a demo bylaw, but, and you know what, nothing but nothing. We tried to work with, I personally called Getty on
Yeah.
several occasions, and basically they told me, make us a strong offer or something that's fair and we'll sell it to you. And I said, maybe you should give it to us. That way you won't have any more liability with the cleanup.
So after that demolition, I read an article in the Telegram and Gazette, or I read it when I was looking up for information on the demolition to add to my list. And the town manager said that the town was thinking of getting it by eminent domain.
I did not hear that.
I saw it in the newspaper. He was
Really?
interviewed and he said that maybe they, to maybe put a couple of picnic tables over there or something, that why should we have to put a building on every piece of property that we
Yeah.
have? So I just wondered where that stood.
I did not know that, but I do remember this. And if I say it correctly, because the property was divided pre-1950 something date, and there was a structure on it,
Yeah.
therefore, it didn't meet new requirements if it was to be built on. Now, I don't know if that's after the building's raised or if there's a structure still on there. So I don't know if it can be cut up anymore now, Donna. I don't know if it's two separate lots anymore, if it now becomes one.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Well, but if they're talking about taking it by eminent domain, then
Yeah,
it must
I
be,
do have to
it must
follow
be
up
a
on my other
separate
meeting.
lot. I think we established that years ago.
yeah. Okay. Paul, go ahead.
I have to bow out for my other meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
But I
Have
will,
fun.
but I will say, once a building's down, that property has to conform to the latest and newest codes. With the
That's what I thought.
top, it could have been modified to, because of an existing structure, so.
That's what I thought. Thank you for that clarification, Builder Paul.
Thank
But,
you, Paul.
I adjourned myself.
Yeah. Nice seeing you again, buddy. We'll see you.
Hi, Paul.
Nice.
Keith,
And
Yep.
Keith, we did discuss that in the October 22nd meeting,
All right.
2019.
Okay, great. 1 second. So it's up all out at 7:01 PM. And we discussed in the October meeting that it was already down or being taken down. Do you remember?
It was being discussed that it was happening or it's unclear from the notes if
Okay.
it was a before or during or after.
So I would say, Donna, September would have been about the date because we wouldn't have discussed it if we thought it was happening. All of a sudden, one day it was being taken down.
That's the Central Turnpike property?
Correct.
yeah,
Lincoln
Okay.
Road and Central.
Okay, so wait a minute, I gotta get my pen.
Thank you.
Keith?
Yes, sir.
On the, 318, whatever, 19,
Yes,
whatever it is.
318.
There were supposedly, and I don't know what the status is of them now, there were issues, what I call conservation issues between, and there was one, at one point it was one property where 318 and the service station or center store. And then I don't know if it really did get divided, but there's a number of things there that would seem, I'm not an engineer, but I mean, you're talking everything from automotive fluids to other fluids to stuff draining into the neighbors' yards. And that's not an easy fix, I don't think, given the topography. Well, you're more familiar with it than I am, but it
Yes.
goes downhill there in the back, right?
Into my backyard.
Yeah, okay, well, it might get enhanced with something.
Yep, I understand exactly where you're going with that, but it's moot at this point. So,
Can you give me the Central Turnpike street number and date again, please?
I don't have the number off the top of my head. It was the
Okay.
corner of Central Turnpike and Lincoln Road. And the approximate raise date was September of 2019.
Okay,
We had discussed maybe going down there to ask them if they want to possibly allow us to do a preview and pictures of the structure, and the next day it was gone, all gone. One day it was just the outer sheathing, and then the next day it was the whole frame was gone, or within a few days. Yes. Yeah, you can have some. Yeah. You just get a fork, honey, you can have it here. All right, I think we've beaten that up enough, 318. Any other open discussion before I go on to new business? Nice. Okay. New business. Let me grab this. I received a priority correspondence, though I received it late because for me, I work every day to get into town hall. It's difficult because they're only open while I'm in court. I received it about a week ago, and basically it's a letter from Gray and Pape Heritage Management, and the subject is an invitation to become a consulting party for the New England Power Company doing business as National Grid. Grid line 323. I don't know if anyone's familiar with National Grid here. Refurbishment project Millbury to Medway, Worcester County. In a gist in the letter, it's asking if there's anyone that wants to be a representative on behalf of New England Power. They'll be doing an archaeological intensive locational survey for the proposed Grid line 323 refurbishment, which they go on to describe the line in a right of way. The purpose for the archaeological intensive locational survey is to determine the presence or absence of archaeological sites relating to North American or historical use of the area, which may be affected by proposed undertaking. Gray and Pape is conducting the survey and assisting with National Grid in compliance with federal and state law, and it goes on to say, so they're looking for volunteers if someone wants to volunteer in that. Now, before anyone speaks on it, this same proposal of refurbishment was brought up, and I don't know if any of you members remember when, but I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago, and that they were asking if we wanted to be part of that team to do the archaeological site. But if I remember correctly, it only passes through town for a few hundred yards. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it does.
It does. Who said that, Wally?
Me.
Yeah, do we have a map of where it really is?
So they sent one overlay map, and it really doesn't show, it just shows, it, but doesn't state what towns are where. It just shows you where it goes through.
Where?
So, if I remember correctly, it goes along the Blackstone River. It appears as though it's south of Dorothy Pond and east towards Upton. Let me just check my phone here, just so you guys. 1 second. No, I'm just reading a thing, a text about Carol. I'm all set. I apologize for that interruption. I have a family emergency, so I warn the members I may be reading a text if it comes in. So I guess my question is there anybody who wants to be an active volunteer? And I can give you the contact info for contacting them. If you wish to comment or participate in the consulting party, you contact this person. And I do remember ringing a bell, and we, Donna, if I remember correctly, we had to do a historical impact survey for that, the questionnaire at one point, and we talked about the line, and it went through town over near the Blackstone Bridge, that new one they put in, Wally.
Yeah.
Blackstone Street Bridge up on the hill, and we felt as though there was really no.
Well, we've had, they have a new condominium development up there to the north off of Blackstone Street.
Yes.
Okay, Aerial Circle it's called. Now, if you go over the Blackstone Bridge and you go straight up, it's Chase Road.
Yes.
Okay, and then you go further up a hill. Now, there are several houses there, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 maybe, and that's about it. But on the north part of that section, to the north and the east towards Grafton, it seems to, that's restricted property at this point.
Yeah,
Is built, they're in their area, but the whole part to the north, which I assume is where this thing would go, that's, I can't remember the name of it, but that belongs to some land trust. So there's not,
yeah.
to my
Behind
recollection.
Ariel Drive.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, and we've had extensive conversations on planning board about aerial drive, so I'm doing this out of memory, but there's nothing beyond aerial drive. That's the end of it in the town of Sutton. And you do have Grafton there. Millbury is further to the west. I would volunteer, except I just had hip surgery, and I don't think it's good for me to be out walking around in
that's
these
fine.
hills. You
No,
know?
that's fine. I guess I'm throwing it out there. I mean, the correspondence is from December, late December, so I would say it may be moot at this point. No, it says respond within 30 days of receipt of this letter, so if there's a volunteer, let me know. I know it's not gonna be Donna, but if you guys want to, let me know and I'll forward you the info, okay? Okay. For New England Power. Okay. New business. Any other new business? Good. We're moving along, kinda. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is announcements and correspondence. I have an announcement from Mass Historic. Let's see here. I have it in order. The announcement is for the MPPF round 27. We discussed this a couple meetings ago and felt, since we had the year before to get Manchog, that we would skip a year and go into 2021. And I remember, if I remember from the minutes of that meeting, was it may be a little premature for us to jump right in and try to get Wilkinsonville in that district, in an historic district. So any feedback from any of the members to that? Okay. Can I ask Donna a question?
Yes, you may.
So I was inquired by the Historic Society asking if they could apply for this grant. And my remembrance was it was for municipalities. However, I read it now
Yes,
and it says, and 501c3 nonprofits.
yes, they can.
Okay, so,
Definitely can apply.
okay, so I'll tell them,
The church,
yes.
the church can apply.
Oh, yeah, huh? I didn't even think of that. Though they just got some grant to do that over from something else.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, that was from the historic, the Massachusetts government for
Yeah.
tourism.
tourism.
For
Was it
what?
really? Wow,
For tourism, people coming to the town and looking at the historical sites. The church is considered a meeting house because it originally was the meeting house for the town as well as the church.
Yeah.
And that's how they got the grant.
But we're talking about a different kind of fund. The church can get funding from Mass Historic Commission. It's the annual fund. And because it's part of a National Historic Registered District and is important on its own as a part of the district, you can get funds for any exterior work on the church.
okay, excellent. I will tell them that. They'll be excited.
It works the same way it does for the grants we've gotten for our survey work. We pay it and they pay us back half, I think it is,
Yeah,
something.
right. You pay, they pay you back. And I just don't ever remember it being for 501c3s.
Yeah,
Even from the beginning, Donna? Because I remember, I looked in old ones. I don't remember seeing that language.
I'm almost very sure.
Okay, excellent. All right, so is it an agreement that we're not ready to do that this year? Maybe wait till next year for Wilkes?
Yeah, and I think you need to get together with Jen somehow and see how that works into town planning,
Hmm.
Okay,
because she's their grants writer.
correct. All right. Any other comments on that? No? Okay, another correspondence, which I thought was a pretty good one. Oh, and you'll be happy, this is my last piece of paper I'm picking up, so. Is from, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Mass History Alliance? You all
No,
see that? It's pretty good. You may want to log on. They sent the thing, the January 2021 Mass History Alliance newsletter filled with news, events, funding opportunities. Jump on to, it talks about, let's see, how they, good news, a sword stolen from the statue of Revolutionary War hero in Westfield was recovered 40 years later. So, you know, there's good articles, there's some state articles in there about funding. Here's one for libraries, a virtual learning program grant for $1,500 to $3,000. Maybe something that you want to log on to and check. Let me see if I got it here, the email. Here somewhere. Well, I think if you put in Mass History Alliance, it will come up. It looks like it says alliance@masshistoryalliance.org. So that's another correspondence. Any comment or anything on that? Okay. Okay, anyone have anything that they'd like to add to this meeting? And well, Chris, if you have a whole new plan for something you want to address. Anybody? Mark? Nothing?
All set.
Rochelle? Nothing? Donna?
I'm all set.
Wally? Look at Wally, so happy.
Yeah,
Wally,
well,
nothing?
I'm used to these 2 or 3 hour meetings. This is really good.
I try to keep it short and simple if I can, though, tonight. And Chris, you have anything new? Nothing? All right, so I'll close on this, is that with members of this commission, it's feast or famine, and I think Donna will agree with that. All of a sudden, we have nothing for 9 months, and then you have this huge project that just takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of help. In this crazy time of COVID, really, no one's meeting and things aren't really as public as they used to be. This may change. We may be slow as we have been the last year and a half. It's been slow even before COVID. It kind of slowed down last summer. But
I think if I could,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I can't tell who you're looking at.
Oh,
So
sorry.
you're looking at me. I think we should try to get a plan together for surveying properties that haven't been surveyed. I know we've tried to do this ourselves in the past. Maybe we could find some funding in the town or do something to have that be our ongoing work.
Let me ask you this. Do you remember for a short period of time there, we started to survey Wilkes?
That's not Wilkes, but I forgot what that little section is called, something else. I don't know.
Right, but we were gonna work our way down. We did that one section, I forget the name of that little ville they called it.
Yeah,
But we were gonna work our way down.
Oh,
So you
wow.
were saying maybe we should start getting these forms and doing some ride-arounds and try to compile this information?
yeah, I think that's a good idea. Only because the initial survey that got accepted from Mass Historic, it's like 20 years ago now. And anything in town 50 years or older should be looked at. So we're maybe about 400 or 500 properties behind.
Wally, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, right.
But that's just something to think about.
Yeah,
How we-
no, I agree.
I think that was
How-
Marble Road, right? Was
What's
that
that?
Marble Road? That property that we were supposed to go look at?
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
know, yeah. I remember I did go and look at it, but I'm not an engineer. So it's okay.
I have worksheets that you check off. You know
Oh,
what
okay.
you're looking for.
so what Dawn is saying is, they have these worksheets that you literally go to the property, describe the type of the structure, the age. And then you
Okay.
compile that into this one worksheet that gets submitted in a packet of information. Like if we do Wilkes as our next historic district, you would have to encompass a certain area and inventory every property in there.
That's
That is,
already been done.
we did Wilkes?
Wilkes is done.
I don't remember
The
that one.
area you were looking at was like a little tiny village outside of Wilkes, and I can't remember the name of the guy it's named after. And
So Donna, we have Wilkes?
we've had Wilkes for years.
I don't remember. Did
It's
we
not
do it?
It's not National Historic Register. That's the next step for Wilkes.
Right.
Right, and that's what I was saying, that we get that ready, but I didn't know we had, was I around when we did Wilkes? I don't remember it.
We did the first time Susan, we got grants for Susan to do work. The whole town was done.
Oh, okay. That helps a lot. All right, I forgot about that.
And most significantly, the historic areas of the town were surveyed, but now and listed as to whether they were assessed as eligible for National Historic Register listing. And Wilkes as a historic area is. And that's the next step for Wilkes. In fact, when we did Manchog initially, MHC wanted to try to do both at the same time. And I don't know if you remember, but I said, that's going to be impossible. Manchog's too much.
I remember that, too much, right.
So Wilkes is the next, is the last one we have as a historic
District,
area or district
right,
that qualifies for National Historic.
register.
And so that process is ready to go. And that normally takes 2 years at best.
Let me ask you this, Donna. On a grade of 1 to 10, having our properties already surveyed, at what point are we at if we decide to hit this for the next grant? Are we at a 6 ready to go, or other than hiring someone to do the process? Are we at a 4 or 2?
For Wilkes or for
Yeah.
for Wilkes? I would say it was smart not to try and get a grant for that 2 years in a row.
Okay.
I would say by next year.
And so would you grade it as how close, like how much more work do we have to do other than hiring the expert? Like,
The whole National Historic Register application has to be prepared, and you need a professional to do that.
right.
Mhm.
But our inventory's up to speed except for what is now aged to 20 years plus.
No, it is not. There are a lot of individual properties that never were surveyed.
Okay, all right. That's my question is, so how much is that completed? 60, 70%?
I would have to have a new list from the assessor's office to know that, because that's what my original database is based on,
Right,
a list of properties that were 50 years or older, and then I organize them. I can, once again, if I have everybody email, which I should, I can once again send you my database if I can find it.
okay.
It's
good.
at my old work computer, and I'm not sure if I have a copy in my computer at home, my computer at my work desk at home. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know if I can get into it. So
Alright.
if I can't, I'll get my coworker to get it out of my work computer.
Okay. All right, I think we beat that up pretty much, but at least now I know where we stand on it. Thanks. That's a big help. All right, any other comments on possible grant application next year in 2022? Any for Wilkes? Excellent. All right, I have no more business. Anyone have any business to add? Excellent. Anyone have a motion?
I
A
move
motion
we
to
adjourn.
adjourn?
Okay, motion on the floor and seconded. Rochelle, adjourn, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm a yes. Mark,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Wally,
Yes.
Donna.
Yes.
I feel like I'm in the state senate. This was good. All right, so you guys, I appreciate it. Motion is granted. We're adjourning